Hi, Annie, it's Anthony, and here are my reflections for teaching special education. The two I'm covering are autism and giftedness. Autism in particular has a close place to my heart because I have a family member who does have autism, and before I was a teacher, I was an education assistant, and I worked solely with autistic children, in particular one named Kyle, who changed my life. I'm very intrigued by the mystery of this disorder because it's so obscure. And in reading many of the items within the documents, not much came to me to be new because I had such a crash course, but it did cause me to reflect a little bit. My role as an EA was to work with one particular boy whose parents were both doctors and both brilliant, but they refused to accept his exceptionality as a norm, and they kept trying to fix it. And this was a really hard lesson for all of us at the time, and that Kyle was not meant to be fixed. He was who he was. And this also led to my reflection on a part of the document that talks about motivation. And I find that when we talk about ASD or PDD, the key component is their social development. And I find that motivation, I believe motivation is intrinsically social. We say, yes, there are times where you are motivated intrinsically. I understand that. But if there's no norm within your understanding of where you fit in life, then how can you be motivated? I'm not so sure that that idea is placed correctly. I really think that motivation is social, belongs in a social context. I could be wrong. I usually am, but I'm just thinking about why an autistic child would have any motivation except for, I guess, their own self gratification, which is something they seek. So I guess that is motivation in and of itself. But when you introduce a teacher into that, it doesn't quite make sense because that's somebody else dictating what the motivation is. I ran into this picture online and I thought it was incredible because it really brings graphically into focus, or I guess out of focus, of what life could be portrayed as if you are autistic. Not everything is clear. Everyone else's rules supersede your rules, and you can't quite understand why. This is very intriguing to me, and I think this picture actually summarizes what life would be like if you did have ASD and the varying degrees. The next one that I looked at, the next exceptionality was the giftedness. And in particular, I have three children, and my eldest is being bandied about by his teachers and administrators as potential for being gifted, which I find a little bit strange, but interesting in that he's only 5 years old. But I started reading through this gifted piece to see what it would really mean to me as a parent. I knew what it meant to me as a teacher, and I'm almost ashamed to say that I was happy so long as my gifted child was happy. When I taught grade 8 in particular, I had two gifted students in my class, which was very rare. And so long as they kind of got shipped off to a school that engaged them, I wouldn't have to worry about boring them. And I didn't realize that boredom was a key, I wouldn't say symptom, but something that it's a telltale for a child that's not engaged. And even in my room, for a teacher who prides himself on being engaging, when I couldn't reach a particular child, I took it pretty hard. And then I realized um, I was approaching it incorrectly. It really wasn't about moving them ahead. It was about enriching the experience. And this is what led me to change the way I approach my son, in that I would stop guiding him along a particular path and let him guide his own learning and then give him all the tools that he needs to go in depth. And though I've been out of the classroom since he was born, I would love to go back in and apply what I've learned so that instead of focusing on the curricular expectations, which is often a shackle. You take those students and you give them challenges and make them deep so that they understand that they do have an important role to play in their own learning. This was critical for me. The biggest lesson learned as a teacher trainer or one that provides PD for teachers is that I have gifted teachers in my room. And so there were times where I would sit and prepare something for a group of teachers. And I often forget that even adults, it's not like they grow out of exceptionalities, no matter what they have. And we have teachers, of course, that are self-proclaimed ADD or ADHD or touch of autism or gifted. Although the gifted ones will never admit it because of that idea that we believe that the giftedness is a superiority issue when it isn't. So I quickly identified some teachers that I've delivered PD to as gifted and decided quietly to set aside specific tasks for them without them knowing or the group knowing. I would place very specific tasks at their table to complete within a certain time frame. And hopefully that would spark them into further discovery. And some of them would contact me afterwards. So this part was the biggest learning curve for me. And as far as how this course brought that to light was very integral because you tend to forget. You fall into routine ever so quickly. So this course really reminded me that my gifted teachers need specific programming. Anyway, that's my reflection. Thank you very much.